what does it look like in the body when we're out of balance? And we can use this as a frame of thinking for it. If we know how we tend to be when we're out of balance, then we can understand when we're doing our practice, what are the important things to consider to make sure that our system is really stable and comfortable. This sutra is from the first chapter, Sutra 131. We're not going to spend too much time on all the words on it, but generally what it's saying is that it's telling the individual when your system is out of balance, this is how it's going to show up. And it's super general and vague on purpose. So the words here are dukkha, dharmanasya, anga mejayatva, svasa prashvasaha, vikshepa sahabhuva. What's really interesting about this is that Patanjali basically gives this super short phrase of how when we're out of balance, it can show up on every single layer and level of our body. Meaning that when you stub your toe, how many of you have stubbed your toe before on something? Right? Like almost everyone, right? I just did it on my bed frame the other day. When we stub our toe, for example, usually we stub our toe and we're not just like, oh, I stubbed my toe and I'm in pain and we go on with our day, right? Usually there's some kind of emotional response or mental response. Our breath might just stop completely or get really quick and rapid because we're in pain. We might be thinking a certain way, negative thinking, like, why wasn't I more careful? Or why didn't I move that box earlier so I don't keep tripping over it? My point here is that when we have an experience with our physical body or even emotionally, it often affects other layers of our being. This is really important for asana because we're not just doing the physical posture and that's it. There's a connection to how we're breathing. There's a connection in the way that we're thinking or where our attention is placed. And that's really important. In this sutra, the part where Patanjali references the body is here. Anga me jayatva. Anga is the body, or also translated as limbs. And then trembling. Jayatva or me jayatva, trembling. So it doesn't mean that when somebody's out of balance, they're always going to be shaking. But this is an example of, when somebody's anxious or nervous, right? Their hands might shake, or part of their body might be shaking or trembling. But we can use it as an interpretation for any kind of physical functioning. When something isn't functioning well in our body or functioning in a way that's useful or working for us, there's some kind of out of balance that's happening on a physical level, right? Somebody mentioned back pain, for example. It's really uncomfortable and also a great example of how when we're out of balance, some things can also show up on the physical level. Maybe not always, but just showing here that there is a reference to that.